Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Earn a globally recognized degree from Indiana University fully online. More than half of IU Online students advance in their careers before graduation, and that can include you. IU Online offers over 150 undergraduate and graduate programs and empowers you with the resources, personalized support, career opportunities, and flexible schedules to help you charge ahead. Visit online.iu.edu to start your future. IU Online. Success starts here.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman, and this show is brought to you by MichiganMushrooms.net. You can also find their Facebook page at Michigan Mushrooms LLC. But we're just talking to Christopher, and he wanted to know that MichiganMushrooms.net is not just medicinal mushrooms, okay? They have all kinds of mushrooms. It's not magic mushrooms, okay? Don't get your hopes up. But it's not just medicinal mushrooms. It's also mushrooms that you can make tea out of and stuff like that, and as a alternative to coffees and other jittery products. Also, you can check out emailrevealer.com. You can get a copy of my book, How to Succeed as a Private Investigator, and also check out all my different investigative services that you can find at emailrevealer.com. If this is the first time you listen to the show, please check out oppermanreport.com, and we have a special members section with special exclusive content that you won't be able to find live on Friday nights or live on Saturday evenings. And don't forget, Saturday evenings we've been moved to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I've got a very special show for you today. We have Niko House. Niko House is a young man. He's the president of North Carolina College Students for Bernie Sanders. And I believe it hasn't been that long, in the last 4 days or so, he's come forward with this breaking information. I guess you describe it as infiltration and sabotage of the Bernie Sanders campaign in North Carolina. Niko, are you there?
Yes. Hey, what's up?
How are you, my friend? Hey,
Fantastic.
Yeah, I know you're a little tired. I know you've been in the middle of a hurricane, in the middle of a tornado in North Carolina. Tell us about yourself. Who is Niko House?
Well, my name is Niko House. I'm based, I guess you could say I'm almost based out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. I was born in New York, but I went to high school and middle school in North Carolina. Graduated from Jacksboro High School. You know, I was a debater in high school. Wasn't by choice. I actually wanted to do humorous interpretation because I just knew I was a funny guy. I just knew that in my heart I was going to be Chris Tucker. I even had my voice ready so I can get all high-pitched whenever I needed to be. But my debate coach, he kind of took me in and decided he was going to make me a debater instead. And here's how we got to politics. And ironically, debate was what kept me out of politics. And then debate is what put me back into it because I just got tired of seeing what was going on. But I'm a U.S. Army vet. I was a paralegal for 3 years. While I was a paralegal, we did things like Article 32 hearings. We conducted investigations constantly. We advised commanders. We did a lot of work. And if you know anything about the military, which I'm sure a lot of you do, you do work for money that you will never see. And so, like, in other words, if you're a nurse, you're pretty much a doctor. You know, if you're a PA, you're pretty much like, a specialist. Like, it's like that. So we did a lot of work and a lot of investigative work and a lot of stuff that I bring into, and just into the realm of work that I try to do now. Also, after I got out of the military, I was medically retired. I started at UNC as a double major in Portuguese and political science. I know that's random, but there's a method to the madness. But yeah, I've always had a passion for languages. I'm conversationally fluent in Korean. I speak Spanish. I speak Portuguese fluently. I've had a lot of life experiences. I've had a lot of experiences in life, and UNC is kind of how I got to in touch with Bernie Sanders. But to be honest with you, I probably would have run into him somewhere down the line anyway, just the way my life is set up.
Well, Niko, how old are you?
27.
27 years old. And what part of New York are you from?
Queens.
Ah, very good. Queens, New York.
Yeah.
Okay, what part of Queens?
Corona.
Corona. Okay, I had a girlfriend over there on Queens Boulevard by the Knishknash over there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my grandmother actually lived right across the street from Shea Stadium before it got turned into City Stadium.
Okay, very good. Yeah, City Stadium when they have the U.S. Open. Okay, I got a couple of stories about that as well. All right, very cool. Okay, and I'd say we have a lot in common. And I'm glad to hear. I got a 15-year-old daughter, and she's into this debate. She's doing these debates now. The forensic high school debates.
That's where I started. I'm actually in the NFL. Yeah, the National Forensics League. Technically, I'm still there.
Oh, very cool. See, I really want to encourage people to get involved in that. Even as adults, you can get involved as judges. Yeah,
you can. Actually, something that me and one of my really close friends were going to start was actually an adult debate league, because it's. I learned so many pertinent skills amongst obviously becoming a much better public speaker and becoming much more politically and socially affluent. I just learned how to make connections, and you learn how to read people. You learn how to deal with people that you don't want to have to deal with. You learn all the skills that you have to learn how to use as an adult, much sooner than you actually have to.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it. It is so rewarding as an adult to go in there and judge, or volunteer, even judging or tallying and stuff like that. They need volunteers, and I'm so encouraged to hear you bring that up. Very good, my friend. Okay, so now you came back out of the Army, and you got involved in politics right away?
No, actually, my goal is to never get involved in politics again a day in my life. Debate teaches you a lot of things, and one thing I realized is that I'm a firm believer in what Weber calls value rationality and functional rationality, and unfortunately, when you're trying to achieve the value or the goal that you set out to achieve, a lot of times, especially in a thing like politics, you end up sacrificing your goal and your value to try to get there. So as much as I wanted to be a politician, as much as I wanted to be a senator or whatever, and be influential in a very progressive way and do things that have never been done before, in order for me to get there, I would have to make the connections to get there. And usually, in order to make those connections to get there, you have to make, rub the right shoulders, do favors, and eventually they're going to have to call for those favors back. And by the time I actually got to the position I would want to be at, it would end up me being, I would just be a puppet. And I never wanted to be a puppet. So at a young age, I decided that if I was ever going to be involved in politics, it would be from the outside looking in and try to influence it from means like, I guess, from what I'm doing now.
So now, and then you gravitated toward the left.
Yeah, believe it or not. And I actually used to be considered, I would say maybe more conservative or libertarian in high school, because I fundamentally misunderstood the ties between social issues and economic. And so I always thought that they were mutually exclusive. And obviously, as I got older, got, that UNC education that is some of the best in the world. It kind of opened my eyes to a lot, and I lean way more left, I would say.
And what's your major over there right now?
Currently, political science and Portuguese.
Okay, very good. Yeah, Portugal. Yeah, we had a couple of guests on the show just recently. They went down and testified before the Portugal Parliament. A.J. Weberman and Jim Hunt. Jim Hunt was the nephew of Frank Sturgis. And, A.J. Weberman wrote the book Coup d'etat in America. And they just testified there about the assassination, that there was an assassination down there in 1980 that they believed that Frank Sturgis was involved in assassinating the Prime Minister and the Minister of Defense down in Portugal.
Unfortunately, I'm not surprised by either of those things, but yeah. Ironically, politically wise, I speak more of the Brazilian brand of Portuguese. And so, yeah, I've been keeping up with the Brazilian politics down there, and it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Well, I'm a fan of the Brazilian bikini wax, so we have a lot in common.
I don't think you're alone in that. I don't think you're alone. I think it was a revolutionary idea.
There you go. Okay, so listen a bit. Now, so then what happened? Because you became the president of the North Carolina College Students for Bernie Sanders. How'd that come about?
So actually, going back to debate, so I'm in college, I was part of this organization called American Parliamentary Debate Association. And one of the people that I had met through there ended up working for Bernie Sanders. And I was supposed to be the chair of the diversity committee for that organization. They created the president that current president actually created specifically for me because he saw a lot of the issues that were going on. As you can imagine, American Parliamentary Debate Association is full of a lot of elitist schools, a lot of elitist kids, and a lot of kids that, I mean, I found out yesterday that unfortunately some of those students are vying for Hillary specifically because they think they're going to get a job. And what's scary about that is these students when I tell you these are some of the most affluent, most intelligent, most driven people that you will ever see in your lifetime. And these are the people that end up running the world. Ted Cruz came from this organization. He was a president at one point, I believe. And if he wasn't the president, I think he either won or he came close to winning the national championship. And so, like, these are the people that will run the world. And to find out that even at this young of an age, that politicians can get them at this young, and and where they're supposed to be kind of like you would consider that college students would be like, no, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to change the world. But no, it came. I want to be part of the winning team because these college students are Harvard, Yale, Stanford, even UNC. They're used to winning. They're not used to playing for the losing team. And so when you have students like that they're going to become opportunistic, or else you wouldn't have all these Harvard graduates becoming corrupt attorneys and corrupt politicians and things like that. They come from these schools.
You know something very interesting. You mentioned that because when Bill Clinton came here about a month and a half, 2 months back, and did a little campaign event, it was at the high school that was one of the big elite high schools here for the debate team. Right, they win all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I went down there to cover it, and there was only about 700 people there, and compared to like a Bernie rally, it's like 4,000. There's only about 700 people there, and I noticed that a bunch of the people that were there were the kids from the high school that I recognized, and the only reason I recognized was from the debates. So
yeah, they pick you up really early.
Right, so it seems like it would appear that Bill Clinton picked that high school because of that reason. I'm
going to tell you like this.
Yeah.
It's, ironically enough, people don't ever make this parallel, but politics and sports are extremely easily parallel. Just like what we were talking about with Bill and Hillary, you can look at Adidas or look at Nike and what they do to kids like LeBron whenever they realize that they're a prodigy that can make them money, or even the most recent example I can think of is Jabari Parker. For whatever reason, Jabari Parker came into the league with an Adidas contract. Okay, he was a fantastic player, but if you recall, he was injured his first year. How are you still getting guaranteed Adidas contracts when you haven't played a game of NBA basketball? Because you were handpicked and you were groomed to be in this position that you're in. Right.
Okay, great. I get exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So now,
you get what I'm saying. So yeah, it's like that. I mean, it's the politics of the NBA are probably not even that much far removed from the politics of politics, believe it or not. That's a different discussion.
Yeah. So now you get involved you become the president of the college students for Bernie Sanders. So now, give us an idea. How were things going on at the beginning before you noticed?
At the beginning,
yeah.
It was amazing. We were probably the largest club. Actually, no, we were the largest Bernie Sanders club for a fact. To such an extent where we have this thing called Fall Fest at UNC where all the clubs come out and they sign up for this what's called a listserv to receive emails. We had over 400 names signed up, and all I did was go out there, stand with a sign, and yell a bunch of things about Bernie Sanders. And people just signed up. They ran over to sign up. Just talking about his policies, and I try to become as affluent in his policies as possible so that, because people are going to debate you. It's natural. A lot of times out of 10, I'll be honest with you, Ed, I have a lot of tattoos. At the time, I was a pretty big guy. I used to have really long dreadlocks. I have nose ring, and I'm black. And so when I say certain things, people automatically assume that I'm just speaking because I heard someone else say it. And it is the facts of life, because, it is what it is, That's the culture that we live in, unfortunately, right now. But whenever they do approach me and you have a crowd, that helped, of people saying, well, what about this economic policy? He doesn't have a plan for that. And I go into extreme detail about his plan, not only his plan, but how his plan will work and how we've seen it. We can cross-apply it to something in another country or cross-apply it to something in another situation in a specific state. Or I use the example that I actually got from my friend Royce Hairston, where he said, he was like, it's funny because military people, because as brainwashed as they are, they don't think outside of what a lot of the times their commanders or their superiors tell them, because that's just the culture, because you have to breed a certain culture of people if you're going to have them battling against people. And I was like, military people have this really strong tendency to hate socialism. They call it communism. And it's the most communistic. This is like Soviet Russia. Bernie Sanders is Stalin. I'm like, that's interesting that you hate socialism. So you just joined this. You hated socialism so much that you completely separated yourself from capitalism. You joined the military. You have everything provided to you: food, clothes, housing. You live in a community where everybody's money helps pay for your things. And the most ironic thing about that is that the authoritarian figure that they fear so much, they have to answer to on a daily basis. The same people that you say, I don't want people controlling my life. You mean like the sergeant that tells you when you can't take leave, or when you can and can't leave the state, or when you can and can't leave your barracks? You mean like that? You don't want that to happen in this country. Well, I couldn't imagine you going through that. I'm sorry that you're so scared. You know?
Hey, did you ever notice that the same people who go on and on and on about how we need a strong military and we need to beef up the military and give them all this money and new weapons are the same exact people who are so
adamant about lowering taxes?
No, they're adamant about the Second Amendment and that they want to have guns to resist the military because the military.
Yeah. Oh man, it really speaks to the culture of this country, and it's. I mean, I don't know if you know, we're like, number 49 on the World Freedom Press Index?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's unrealistic. That's scary, actually, more so. Because when people, I mean, I know, luckily, throughout my life, I've just become a culture magnet where I always end up running into people from different cultures and we become really good friends. My friend group is made up of Palestinians, Jewish people, Hispanics, Brazilian, I mean, just every type. And when they come here and they see things and they hear people talk, they're like, how in the hell do you think this? They're like, have you ever read? Like, you have a whole internet to use. Some of you people are playing for data plan with unlimited data and not using any of it besides looking on Facebook.
Another problem, too, is Americans don't travel. They don't travel around the world. And if they do, they go to little touristy, little, planned. Yeah.
We've gone into the business of telling them that every country is dangerous.
Right.
Every country hates America. Why would you want to leave the country? And we've also gone to, there's this culture of English is America's language. And so they've only grown comfortable with English. And the thought of ever being in an area where somebody else, you might not understand the accent and you actually have to ask a question twice and listen carefully to what people say and have to socially compromise is unfathomable to them.
Yeah.
Even though people come to this country and do it all the time and you see them become very successful because of it.
My whole life, I've always had a great admiration for someone who left their country behind and came to America, and just left everything behind to a country. They don't speak the language. They don't know the culture. I've always been impressed with that. They're not to build a wall.
You leave you generations. Yeah. I mean, I know one of my friends, he has land in Palestine. And I mean, he can't really, he doesn't know what to do with it because his whole family's here now. But that's the type of stuff. That's real money. Like that's quantitative. You could go back to Palestine and be rich, but you would rather be here because of what the opportunities might, happen for you. What the opportunities might bring for you. But like in this country, you still have your land that you'd be able to benefit from. But they do it, it's selfless. They do it for their kids. They do it for their family because they know. I mean, I don't want to go into the details about that, but unfortunately, they know what America might come over and do to their country in some of these regions. And in these situations, it's much better to be on the winning team. And I hate to say it like that.
Right.
It's much better to be on the winning team. What are they going to move to? South America? Because, our track record is so great there. Where else is there to move to,
I hear you. But let's get back to the North Carolina stuff, though, what we're doing right now. So, okay, like you said, you started organizing for the Bernie campaign, and then what happened? Because I know, like, in the past week or two, you've been doing all these YouTube videos exposing this situation.
So from the student side, we did a lot of canvassing. A lot of canvassing, organizing, phone banking, working within the community. So we're one of the first groups to majorly connect in a very significant way with the volunteer group outside of the college demographic, right? Because, the grassroots campaigns really need to work together, and the college students are a big part, but the volunteers really have the free time that college students do not have.
All right.
And so with that being said, we did a lot of grassroots organizing. I'm talking about, you've seen some of the best. To this day, I haven't seen a state really organize the way that we have outside of maybe Michigan. And we had a guy open up an office with only volunteer donations, 2 offices actually, but only volunteer donations. That's insane.
Yeah.
We had a woman in Wilmington where we thought that Wilmington was going to be a little bit harder to organize because they lean more towards the conservative side now. And she had Wilmington taken care of in such a way that we were like, wow, we don't really have to do anything. Wow. Okay. That's nice. And so we have in our outreach, I was, like I said, cause I'm also the president of the state for the college students. The outreach chair was constantly reaching out to different places. We were getting schools started up. I'm talking about community colleges brought into this organization. Just the overall college students for Bernie. And we were working together. We were doing a lot of good work. You want to fast forward? We were doing something like this. We were doing such good work that Bernie, we had a private meeting. The executive board and the presidents of the individual schools had a private meeting with Bernie Sanders about him coming back to North Carolina. It was incredible. It was awesome. It was 5 minutes, and we all got to sit backstage, or not backstage, but right behind him, whenever he was giving his speech in Greensboro. And he told us that we were the most organized college group that he had seen in the country.
How many members you got right now?
It kind of varies. I could tell you what we had whenever we left, or whenever we kind of like were at our peak, but finals and that we're transitioning out, or we're transitioning board members because it's close for us. It's close to our school term ending. But at our peak, we had close to 200 to 250 members. At that Greensboro rally, we had 90 students in 2 days' notice show up to help out with the rally.
Yeah, that's another thing too. These rallies, they seem to just pop up with just like a day or two's notice. And even that website, the Go Bernie events, that was put up by a volunteer too. That's not put up by the campaign either.
Yeah. And the campaign used it. I mean, and that's how we've been able to win this election.
Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't be close, but I mean, Bernie, because of the type of people he attracts the most diverse group. And with that diversity, you have talents that are that just kind of surpass anything you would get from a normal campaign, and ideas because of their individual experiences and the diversity in those individual experiences that kind of add to the campaign in revolutionary ways. And that's how we've been able to. So, I mean, I don't know if you heard, there's a Bernie Singles website.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, my daughter told me about it. I got to check that out. Yeah, because you got to admit, when you go to a Bernie, because I go to all the rallies, we go to we cover the Trump, we cover
Yeah, definitely.
But when you go to the Bernie rallies, this is where all the pretty girls are, man. There's no doubt in my mind. It's a whole new ball game, man. You go to a Bernie rally.
I know when somebody posted on Facebook, you're like, because now there's a Bernie Singles Facebook, and everybody's like, Bernie girls are like the hottest because you're talking about all the, the super socially conscious, very conscious about their bodies, as in like they take care of themselves really well. They're very unique in their dress style. They're very ambitious. And they're like, these are the wives. You better find your wife in one of these Bernie rods before they all get snatched.
It is definitely true. It is absolutely true. So now you started to notice, I guess, infiltration?
Not at first. I didn't consider infiltration. So what happened was one of my really good friends had messaged me and said, he called me 8 o'clock in the morning. He never called me that early. So I gave him a call. I was like, what's up? He said, Niko, I need you to get in contact with the campaign. I was like, why? He's like, they're hiring this woman, and her name is Aisha Du. And I heard about Aisha before, but I was like, well, let me hear about what he has to say, because I've never heard anything positive. And this guy, usually I can take his word for just about anything. He's like, she cannot be hired. I don't know how she even got to the point of being hired, considering she just bankrupted the Mecklenburg Democratic Party, $19,000. She was fired and then left the Democratic Party. I was like, hold on, man. Now, let's not be too hasty. Some people make mistakes. Maybe it was just a judgment call error. And then he's like, no. It gets worse. Go to her Facebook. So I go to her Facebook. Pictures, Debbie Weichman Schultz. I'm like, okay, hold on, Michael. Hold on now. Let's not be too judgmental. Maybe the pictures were like from 2 years ago. No, they were from November of 2015. Mind you, she was hired in December of 2015. So I'm like, maybe let me just scroll to the Facebook real quick. And for whatever reason, and I guess it's because people get sloppy, because people get cocky, because they think nobody's going to say anything. Because, nowadays, if you bring up facts, you're a conspiracy theorist. I don't understand why people are programmed to believe that just because you have facts means you're a conspiracy theorist. It means like, no, I'm just tired of being a sheep, and I decided to read something other than CNN or Fox News today.
All right.
Can you believe that? But so I go to her Facebook, phone banking for Hillary, advertising for phone banking for Hillary, having all people all over her Facebook brag, just Hillary. And also pictures that she was taking with people they were establishment Dems in North Carolina, and I knew them. I knew them personally. I'm like, okay. So I warned the staff.
Well, wait 1 second. Now, her name is Aisha Dew?
Yeah, Aisha Dew.
How do you spell that?
AISHADEW.
Okay, so people can look it up for themselves and see what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And she essentially, I was like, okay, I see it. I know a smoking gun when I see one, or I know when a gun's about to go off. When you pull up, when you pointing the gun at me, I'm not going to just assume that you're doing it, because you like me, like because you plan on like maybe sweeping the floor or something. I don't know. You're going to shoot the gun,
right?
Not because it's pretty. So I immediately won the campaign, and after I won the campaign, I'm not going to say I got waved off, but whoever I connected was blatantly lied to. I'm not going to say I can't say who I was connected to yet because the campaign at the top levels haven't come out and commented. But he was lied to. He said that she was pretty thoroughly vetted. And now, mind you, what did I just tell you? She just bankrupted the Democratic Party $19,000. And if it wasn't that, having the picture of Debbie Weitzman Schultz with a big old hugging embrace in November 6th should have been the red flag. So here's my thing. I'm like, what scared me is like, okay, if he's saying she was thoroughly vetted, either somebody purposely overlooked this, or even worse, she was thoroughly vetted because she was thoroughly vetted, and that's exactly why she was hired.
Right.
Because Aisha Dew is not a random person. And I'll explain why a little bit later. But so fast forward, I was kind of waved off. I'm not going to lie, I was a little waved off. And, as a student, they don't look at me as a vet in this situation because I'm the head of a student organization. They look at me. They don't look at me as a vet. They don't look at me as a paralegal. They don't look at me as a person who used to help conduct and get papers ready for Article 32 hearings. Article 15s. Person who this is stuff that I do. They don't look at me like that. All they see is a student. So I kind of took it for what it was, and I didn't take it personal. Aisha was brought in. We started having the conference calls. First instance, I noticed something was wrong. I planned a student debt rally, March on Student Debt in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it was just going to be student and volunteer ran. And she asked to be a part of it, for the campaign to be a part of it. I was like, okay, that's fine, no biggie, extra publicity. So I told them to post the event, and they switched my event from a Thursday to a Sunday. Shut up! Hey there, guys! I didn't. What the hell is this? I didn't say Sunday, and they did it without telling me. I was like, it's not on a Sunday. It's on a Thursday. And there was a method to the madness because I did it on a Thursday because that's for college students, especially. A lot of us don't have classes on Fridays. And a lot of them are getting out of class around the time I did it. And that's rush hour because it was going to be downtown in Raleigh near the courthouse.
Let me ask you this. How far in advance of the event did they switch the date?
2 weeks before?
Okay, 2 weeks. Okay.
So they were like, oh, well, we need to switch to Sunday. I was like, okay, so Aisha, I don't know what you know about the South, but I'm like, I know you know the South, but whatever. I don't know how much you know about the South, Aisha, but this is Sunday. You're not going to have a rally or any type of thing like this on a Sunday in the South last minute and think that you're going to get a large crowd in the middle of, it was like 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They wanted to play. Like, that's prime church hours. And if you're not at church, you're eating because you just got out of church.
Right.
You're spending time with your family. Who's going to come out to that? And they were like, oh, well, no, because we want to get surrogates. We want to do this. We got to get permits. We have to do all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll give her a chance. I'm going to compromise because that's what good leaders do from time to time. You have to compromise. Got it. So I compromise. I keep asking, what's the situation with the flyers? What's the situation with the permits? What's the situation with the surrogates? We're working on it. We're working on it. 2 days before the event. Well, we might have to scratch the event. What do you mean scratch it? Oh, we couldn't get the surrogates. Okay, I don't need surrogates. I can do the speaking. Oh, well, we couldn't get the permits from the campaign.
Oh, really?
I was like, pause, double back. The campaign doesn't have to give you permits to do a volunteer event. The campaign does not get involved in volunteer events for obvious reasons. Because, just for liability reasons, just because they want the volunteers to take initiative on their own. So I knew right then, I was like, boom. I know what's going on. But I digress. I was like, okay. I was heated because, you know, this event. I use my manpower, my woman power to get organized, get flyers ready. People, they were ready. People were excited about going. I had speakers lined up, and nixed it 2 days before. And then I didn't find out from Aisha. I had to find out from one of her field organizers at the time. And what was upsetting to me was that instead of being like just consolatory, if you want to call it like that, it's like, you know, oh, we're sorry. Oh no, it was your event probably wasn't going to happen anyway. It's like yes, it was. The only reason that the event got messed up is because we let the campaign get involved. But this is the only time this has happened, and so I try to kind of like discount it as incompetence. So fast forward a little bit. Have you ever heard of HK on J?
No, I don't think I have. No.
It's kind of like a rally or a march, you know, for like more minority issues. You know, say one of those type of marches. Reverend Barber was kind of lied on by Aisha. And Aisha told all of us that we Bernie campaign people were uninvited to the rally. And we're like, that's peculiar. Why would we be uninvited? And she tells us, oh, well, Reverend Barber just said, we're uninvited. And we're like, okay, so because a lot of us, obviously, because it's the Bernie people, so they're part of other activism groups.
Right.
So we're like, oh, so can we go with other activism groups? No. You can't go there. And then we had to take all of our advertising down off the site. Meanwhile, on Hillary's site, all of the advertising was still on. So we're like, yo, so Hillary's going to take her stuff down, right? Yeah. You know, kind of giving lip service. And then at first we were going to leave the stuff on, but while messaging my outreach chair, he gets a message from one of the people in the volunteer organization said that why are we being told to take the advertising down or else? So that was strike two.
Wait. Describe to the audience. Who is Reverend Barber?
Reverend Barber is the president of NAACP in North Carolina.
Okay, and he was having his own event.
Yes. Well, he was kind of like the head of it. It was organized by like a lot of organizations.
And you're saying that the Hillary people were still going, but that this woman Aisha Dew said no, Bernie people aren't going.
Yes.
And then
mind you, that's like strike one in the black community.
Right. Now, did you ever confirm this through the Barber people at the?
Oh yeah. I know what he said. He said you can come, just please don't take over the entire event. That's all.
Really?
Yeah, that's all he said. I mean, I think it's perfectly reasonable. You know, it wasn't about Bernie; it was just about Bernie issues that Bernie were fighting for. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I know that people are okay with us being there because I don't know if you ever heard of the Raise Up or Fight for 15 movement that's been going on, but
sure.
We had they personally invited us to Raleigh. We were as supportive of them, but we also knew our role, and we took a step back and just were there for support. Was no problem whatsoever. Welcomed it.
No, yeah, we've attended Fight for 15 as well, too, with our Bernie signs, and then we've never had a problem.
Yeah. So I know, and these are the same people. And you got to remember, like, all the people are getting afflicted by these issues are all in the same activism groups.
Right.
So I knew there was something sketchy right there, and that's kind of when my outreach chair was like, Niko, yeah, I think you were right. Because we needed more than just, okay, she's just an idiot. And we think that, one event wasn't going to do it. But the way that this event was canceled for us in the fashion it was canceled was kind of what she didn't know how to communicate it correctly to save her butt. If she could have said anything else, but she didn't say anything else. And that wasn't on accident. You know what I mean? That wasn't on accident. She said it like that on purpose because she wanted us to be salty. She wanted us to be upset.
Right.
She wanted it to be a negative connotation. And of course, this isn't, I know, because this isn't only in North Carolina. It's the way this has been handled in every other state that I've heard from. So, and this is ongoing, man. I'm talking about, here's a beautiful thing. I didn't find out until the next week after my event was supposed to happen. Oh, grand opening. Very first office for Bernie Sanders campaign on Sunday, and it was Raleigh, or either Durham or Winston-Salem. It was either Durham or Winston-Salem. I can't personally remember, but it was scheduled at the exact same time as my event.
Really?
Yes.
And what event was that? You were doing the same one we were talking about before, or was this a different one?
Yeah, this is the same one. So that Sunday where I was supposed to have my event, she ended up scheduling her grand opening. And pretty much all the people who were going to go to my event ended up at that grand opening. But she swore up and down, oh, I was told nobody was going to go to your event anyway. Nobody was going to do this. Nobody was going to do that. We couldn't get surrogates. We couldn't get permits. But you were able to get a whole lease signed for a grand opening in a week, but you couldn't get a surrogate? Or you couldn't get a permit, quote unquote, but you can get a lease. You can get a whole real estate transaction done in a week.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And do you think it's possible, or just being devil's advocate here, that maybe you two just have personality clashes?
Well, I've never talked to her outside of a conference call.
Okay.
And I'll explain why. I'll explain why in a little bit.
Okay.
So we fast forward even further. Stuff is like this is happening all over North Carolina. Aisha's 2 hours late getting to the grand opening of Wilmington. She was supposed to bring food, didn't bring any food, didn't bring any materials. Have another situation where we're all waiting to be distributed materials from the campaign. We're thinking we're going to have to pay for them ourselves. And I'm being told by one of the staff members, I don't know why you haven't gotten them yet. They've been chilling in Mecklenburg County. I'm like, what do you mean they've been there? There's a whole box full of them. Okay. I said, okay. So one of my contacts, really good friend, did help Bernie out in New Hampshire. Big contributor to the African-American vote. I mean, just huge. So she was brought back down here so she can do some more work for Bernie and, help us win the state. And we kind of had similar ideas. And we kind of knew that we had to keep our distance. So we kind of agreed that I wouldn't talk to Aisha directly, and we would wait to see how it turns out. So I call, me and my contact kind of get off the phone with each other, and I call Nita, which is a person who works at the office, and she was a staff member, and she tells me Aisha was fired, and because we were talking about Bernie coming to town or something to that extent, and she tells me that Aisha was fired, but my contact was fired. I was like, what do you mean she's fired? Because I'm curious about this, because I just got off the phone with her. Like I'm like, well, that would be a pretty important part of the conversation. Because I would have been asking, why are you traveling all over the state for a campaign you don't work for? But she tells me, oh, I don't know why she was fired. I don't know what's going on. I was like, oh, I can figure it out. Don't worry about it. And I tried to move on from the conversation. She was like, oh no, well, you can't talk to her. It's like, oh, why not? Oh, it's illegal. It's illegal to talk to her.
Who's telling you this? Aisha is telling you this?
No, this is somebody who's getting this information from Aisha.
Okay. Staff
member. And I'm like, that's really weird. I'm a volunteer. You can't tell me who is legal and not legal to talk to. I'm not under contract by anybody. And this campaign has fired so little people that wouldn't even be believable to begin with. But neither her nor Aisha knew that I talked to this person all the time. At this point, we talked every day that week. And we did that on purpose because we like I said, we knew something was up.
All right. Now this person, what do they say? Were they fired?
No.
They weren't even fired.
And that was what made me make my very first video. When I got off the phone with her, I called her that morning. I got off the phone with her. I said, hey, so what's going on? What's going on? I haven't heard from you in like a week or so. What's happening? I just had the flu. But even still, whether she had the flu or not, she wouldn't be in office anyway because she's more of the traveler. She kind of does the on-hand ground work to the point where no volunteer will really be in touch with her. She was going through the same situation that I was going through, but for a staff member. And like I said, we came to the conclusion that there was something wrong. And I told her that morning, I was like, look, I actually said you were fired and that's illegal to talk to you. Heated, upset. That's the only way I can describe it. She just kind of like, oh. In the best way she can compose herself.
Yeah.
Because mind you, I don't think that Aisha knew this woman's background with Bernie Sanders. She knows Bernie. Like, this woman is amazing political organizer. It's her whole career. It's always been for progressives. And Aisha had no idea that she would ever find out because she didn't know we talked. This person didn't quote unquote have connections to any of the student organizations nor any of the volunteers. Because she was a traveler. She dealt with the other politicians and politicers in North Carolina. So there was no way that anybody would have found out, right?
What day did you make the first video?
what day was it? What's today? Monday?
Today's Monday?
So I made it
Today's
Thursday.
Monday. You made it Thursday, okay. So this is all still hot and heavy.
Oh, yeah. This is the morning I decided to make it.
All right.
Driving down to Miami for my spring break. And so after this, I get a little bit inquisitive because now I feel like now it's a problem. Because now I've been blatantly lied to. Everything else is kind of like casually, maybe it's a lie, maybe it's not. This was a blatant lie that was told to be told, like that was said to be told to me. And now what was also curious was that people were called, I had somebody call to find out whether I was going to be in town. And that was peculiar because the excuse they gave me was, oh, well, we need this person, somebody who was a president of NC State. They needed their number. I was like, okay, so get it from this person. And they said, no, she doesn't have it. What do you mean she doesn't have it? She used to be the president of the state, of the school, as for the Bernie chapter. Like, she knows him personally. She's the reason that this guy has this job, right? He's like, oh, she doesn't have it. So, of course, the red flags. I'm like, why are these people thinking I'm an idiot? Like, I'm starting to be insulted at this point, And so I have a call on Thursday morning after I'm heading out because I realized I knew exactly what they were calling for. It was a dude, but I knew exactly what they were calling for. And I just kind of, whatever. I'm gonna make phone calls. I'm gonna figure out what the hell's going on here.
Okay.
I have a phone call with my friend Adam Pohl, and he is telling me, yeah, Chris Wray tried to endorse Bernie. Aisha fielded him, deflected him every single turn. Kevin Griffith, senator candidate, tried to endorse Bernie, deflected him every turn. Members from the NAACP tried to endorse Bernie publicly. These are all people that tried to endorse him at his rally in Charlotte publicly. The same Charlotte that Aisha's from, in the same precinct that we lost the worst.
Now, who are they saying deflected these endorsements?
Aisha. Like, directly. It was no question. They're still livid about it. I still have to talk to a bunch of people about it because everybody has their own individual testimony about this.
Yeah, I've heard similar stories about people like in Louisiana and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. It's not just North Carolina.
Who were never even approached for endorsements.
Yeah. Not even approached, quote unquote, approached. They weren't approached, but I know for a fact in North Carolina, Bernie was approached. Yeah. I know for a fact. And so to say that in North Carolina, that these people were approaching Bernie and not getting deflected, how easy for it as a state representative, as you deflected everybody, say, nobody came and spoke, or nobody came and actually endorsed, which is actually, I believe, personally, the reason that she ended up speaking at that rally is because they had to have some type of minority face out there. And she was she pushed away everyone else and ended up speaking. It was a horrible speech. It was absolutely horrible. It was ridiculous. People said they were cringing listening to it because it seemed like she was conceding.
Oh, really?
The last line she said was, and if everybody brings 40 of their friends to the poll, we might win this election.
Wow. Yeah, North Carolina was close, too.
And it should have been closer. We should have won it. And I don't know if you heard about all the other voter fraud situations that we have going on, but we actually think that they're absolutely connected to this campaign fraud.
Give us an idea of some of the voter fraud, because we had it here, too, in Nevada, and I witnessed it with my own eyes.
So in Cumberland County, in Fayetteville, where I'm from, people were military town, obviously, right beside Fort Bragg. That's what Fayetteville is. And so people were getting off work, going to their precincts, waiting in lines, long lines for hours. And they're getting turned around saying, oh, we sent you a letter. Didn't you get it? This isn't your precinct anymore. But we're closed. Voting is done. So I guess they don't count. I mean, somebody said that they said they speculated that about 25 to 30% of the votes in those areas were not counted. Yeah. I mean, you talking about what? Missouri? Was it Missouri or was it Virginia? No. I'm trying to figure out the states where they were like 1% of the vote had been Ohio. 1% of the vote had been counted. Hillary won. What?
Yeah.
How did you even come to that conclusion? How is that even possible? If you have enough proof to say that Hillary won for 1% of the vote, exactly what were you counting? How did you even get to that point?
Now, what about an issue of campaign leadership not returning phone calls? Have you heard anything like that?
Yeah, I mean,
and not responding to emails.
It happened to me. I would call, and she would only call me back maybe once a week. And at that point, it's whatever I needed it's it was gone. Like, cause this is time sensitive stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically, more importantly, like I said, senatorial candidates were calling her. One of the mayors called her trying to endorse Bernie. NAACP members called her trying to endorse Bernie, to the point one of my good friends was kind of getting frustrated because people were going to her and asking her, hey, like, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? She took it out on me. She got mad at me because she thought I was attacking her. I'm like, I'm not attacking you. I'm just letting you know that this is pretty important, time-sensitive stuff. And she even went, there was a situation where, what happened with Bernie? So I'm trying to think. Bernie came last week, I believe. It was either last week. Yeah, it was last week. It was during my spring break. Yeah. So last week he came, and we found out the state board for the college students found out the day before. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So, hey, I tell this person, hey, this is what's going on with Bernie Sanders coming. He's coming this time, this time, this time. They try to discount that as a rumor. Not only do they say it's a rumor, they're like, oh, that's a lie. Stop telling people that. And mind you, I found this out on like a Monday or a Tuesday that he was coming on a Friday. And so I was like, no, it's not a rumor. I promise you it's not. Calm down. It is. So then she has my outreach chair send out a mass email saying that it's a rumor. I find out on Thursday, Ed, oh, well, Bernie's coming. What do you mean Bernie's coming? Bernie's coming when? Oh, he's coming on Friday. I was like, oh, so Friday next week? Oh, no, Friday tomorrow. He's coming to Raleigh. So I was like, so you just told my entire state board and we just sent the email out to every single volunteer saying that if there's a rumor, stop saying that. And he's coming on Friday. What in the actual hell? And then they got mad at me because I said, okay, well, so you didn't think it was important to communicate those things to me? Because I'm sure your next question is going to be, post this link up on the college student site so we can see how many college students come out. You didn't think that would have been a good idea to let the state board know that you're going to be needing college student personnel so we can at least prepare them to at least try to stay for an extra couple of hours before they start their spring break? Or maybe have people from the other schools that were already on spring break come back a little bit early? I mean, is that reasonable, Ed? I mean, I think it is.
What is the local media over there reporting on this? Since
No. They're in the pockets of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So it's I was like, that was just stupid. It was idiotic. It was incompetent. It was the worst possible decision that they made at that point, because the person who ended up speaking at this rally was some random little high school kid, not even part of our. And apparently he's taking classes at UNCC, which is UNC Charlotte. And I'm like, I don't know this kid. I've never met him before in my life. He's never helped out with this campaign. He's never been in one of my email threads, but he's part of my organization. And he's speaking, not part of my organization, but he's speaking at this rally where you have all of these college students who've been putting in countless hours of work, losing sleep, losing their GPAs for Bernie. And this guy, introduces himself and pretty much makes a speech about himself. Little 17, 18-year-old kid. Of course, he's naive. I just discounted it to him being young, of course. But why was he put up there? You had so many other people that could have spoke. But the problem was, who are you going to put up there last minute? Come to find out, this guy apparently is a paid staff member, a high school student.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, this you should do. Did she come out of the Obama campaign?
Not that I'm actually aware of. I would probably say no. I don't know for a fact, but I mean, considering when Hillary and Obama were running against each other,
yeah.
Most of the black females gravitated towards Hillary from what I saw in the beginning of the primaries. And from her connects, I actually absolutely think that it was Obama. Or excuse me, it was Hillary.
Okay, what other instances can you tell us about?
So obviously there was the rally. After this, I mean, people started kind of complaining. Like, I just saw random complaints on Facebook, and at this point, I think I have at least enough evidence to say, yo, we have to start asking some questions, because We had people come down from Virginia to an office and were sat there and told not to canvass. I don't know what else could you be doing that's more important than canvassing the week or weekend before a primary. I have no idea. There's absolutely nothing. They're like, oh, we don't need you. Oh, we don't need you. Oh, we don't need you. Don't worry about it. We got it. We got it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm telling you, Charlotte lost almost. They got obliterated. How is the state that the city that you work in get obliterated? But, maybe that's a unique situation. We go to Durham. Durham County is probably one of the largest and most prosperous black communities in all of in all of the country. And the president of the NAACP, or not NAACP, the African American Caucus for Durham County, had no idea that we had an office in that area.
Yeah, what's this business, too, that you can't even find, the phone numbers of these offices and stuff?
Yeah.
You know?
It's not coincidental. It's by design.
Okay, then let me ask you this, because, we become friends with Dr. Cynthia McKinney, the former congresswoman, and she thinks that Bernie's sheepdogging for Hillary, that Bernie himself is sheepdogging. I
don't think so.
Yeah.
I met Bernie. I've heard that sometimes. And you look at Bernie's career, Bernie is a sheep. His problem is he doesn't damn know how to sheepdog. We'd be further ahead if he did.
That's true, too.
To be honest. It's the fact of the matter is, what made you decide to choose Bernie over Martin O'Malley? At the time, they were equally as large of a threat to the American public eyes. No, none of them had a chance. Remember when Bernie first came out, 2% vote. He was at a 2% of the vote, and it was a 2% margin of error. He had an equal chance as O'Malley did.
And not only that too, but the media is totally suppressing Bernie, exclusively to every other candidate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why not suppress Martin O'Malley? Because Martin O'Malley's not a threat.
Yeah.
They do. There was a article put out a while, maybe early summer, maybe before even summer, that's saying that Bernie Sanders is just going to wipe the floor with Hillary because all he had to do was stand there and play a PowerPoint of her history, her political history. It's too easy.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to talk about Kissinger. He's bringing up Kissinger, Allende. He's bringing up all this stuff too. So yeah.
Or even more so. It's not even about his political career. Yeah, his political career is amazing. But when you I don't know if you heard about what happened in Arizona. I'm sure you did. During his concession speech, you know what he did? He didn't give a concession speech. He talked about the issues that Native Americans were facing in that area.
Oh, really? That's probably, I caught a little bit of it on C-SPAN, but it wasn't covered anywhere else.
But what's insane about that is that's a great thing to do. But what does he have to gain from that?
That's true.
What political motive could he have?
That's true. If you notice, it wasn't played anywhere, yeah.
Yeah, what? There's nothing. There was nothing he could have possibly gained from talking about the Native Americans. They do not make up a large enough of the electorate, unfortunately, to vote. To vote and vote decisively. That's the person that he is. It's uncontrollable. He didn't have his first career until he was 40 because that's the person he is.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, since you've been reporting on this, you've been doing these YouTube videos. How many hits are these YouTube videos getting, by the way?
Actually, I can tell you right now. Give me a second. Bring it up on my phone. It's so I'm looking at one video that has 30,849 views. Another video that has 15,000, and another one that has 6,000 and counting.
Okay, now have you been contacted? What about Aisha Duda? Did she contact you and say, "Hey, MF, shut up"?
Niko. The problem is one of those videos contain photos of her at a and I quote, table captain's party for the Hillary Clinton campaign.
What's the date on that?
It was late October.
Now, since these videos came out, has anybody contacted you?
Oh yeah, everybody. Okay. Everybody but the guy I need to talk to.
Okay, and what are they saying to you?
They're validating it. Party members, political consultants, former party members, volunteers, people who worked for the campaign, people who left the campaign specifically because of what I'm talking about, and because of their connections and things like that, they couldn't come out and say stuff like this because it just looks like they're salty. It looks like they bring negativity to the campaign, and they didn't know how to move forward from it. So I can understand exactly why this took so long to come out. People say, well, if it's everywhere, it's like you don't know it's everywhere until somebody tells you it's everywhere. Because how is somebody in Nevada going to look at me and be like, hey, man, I know you're in North Carolina. I just randomly found your contact. Told me everything that's going on. They're thinking they're individual pockets of just incompetence as well.
Right.
And everybody's chalking it up. Before these videos, everyone chalked it up to incompetence.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It can't be incompetence.
Because I put it like this. I'm gonna put it like this. Like I said, we can use the Martin O'Malley example. Martin O'Malley was not blacked out from the media. He wasn't getting that much love. Some of it was negative because of how much he didn't have a chance to win. But Martin O'Malley wasn't getting blacked out by the media. Bernie was.
Right. It still is.
And still is.
Now it's getting worse.
For a week, he was blasted by the media. They thought that this race was over and that he was going to win everything. But what was concerning to me was like every time Bernie would just take a ridiculous lead in the state, 2 days later Hillary would be caught back up.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the polling for these people, and the samples are just horrible. It's like we polled 2,000 people, but the thing was we had to figure out they were Democratic, they were likely to vote in the Democratic election. So we only got like 1,000. But then, we only polled people between the ages of 45 and 60, and they were from this particular district. Like, the polls were absolutely useless to the point where Gallup was like, we don't even know why you're trying. We're not doing not one single poll because this election is ridiculous. You have to think about it like this. The larger your sampling error, the larger your sample, the better your sampling error is, right? So if I have maybe 2,000, you have like 95% chance of being accurate. So if I'm a polling agency and I'm a legitimate polling agency, and I know what's going on because you're watching this stuff every day. You just had a media blackout of entire candidate. How in the hell are you going to make any kind of rational judgment or rational poll off of people who don't even know somebody exists? The polls were skewed from day one because there was nobody who knew he existed.
Right. And you can't overlook too that all the local parties are totally controlled by Hillary.
Beyond, it goes so deep as they're controlling the young Democrats, bro.
Yeah.
They're controlling. I mean, anybody who thinks they want a job in politics, because politics has become about having a career versus doing your job.
Okay, Niko, we're down to like 4 minutes left. Okay, now I don't even take a commercial break because what we're talking about is so important. Is there any other new information you want to give us right now?
I mean, the thing that everyone was kind of commenting on my videos is we can't link her back to Hillary. We can't link her back to Hillary. Oh my gosh, what are you going to do? This is just speculative. Then it turns out somebody else who left the Democratic Party at a time when it was very progressive, $50,000 in debt, in Robert Dempsey, fled the scene of the crime after he was fired from the party and asked for the finances for that he had been keeping up with the Democratic Party. And I was like, okay, that's cool, whatever. Maybe it's coincidence. No, it wasn't coincidence because he ends up right on Bernie's campaign. Those are two people that literally and utterly destroyed their respective parties, or tried to, and they're hired after being thoroughly, quote unquote, vetted. So you have, once again, one of two issues. You vetted these people, or you just somebody overlooked them, or which is bad for that person, or you did thoroughly vet them and you handpicked them for a reason. And we know the person who hired Aisha do.
And you suspect him too?
Oh, no, it's Marcus Farrell, and absolutely. He's extremely well connected to the Hillary campaign.
Oh, brother.
He has been. I mean, I was to the point where people, that was the first thing that I was given. And I was like, I mean, I don't know what this guy happened. And he's, ironically enough, the guy who was connected to Hillary Clinton's campaign is a person who is the head of his African-American outreach. So think about it like this. When you're coming down, Bernie Sanders is having trouble in the South with black votes. He's coming down. Your job is to make sure that black people show up. That's your only job, is be black. I mean, in America, it's pretty, sometimes it's hard not to be black in America. They make sure you know. And so when you come down and Bernie has almost zero, I think it was only one. It's because he was wanted to do a press conference. No black community members, no black politicians. at these rallies speaking for him, endorsing him. And you're the one who hired Aisha, the person who's not a part of the African American caucus. Not only not a part, the whole African American caucus despises her. I think that's a problem. I mean, I think it's a problem. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Yeah,
I don't see how nobody would question that. But the problem is, like I said, Bernie doesn't have any idea because he's too busy running for president.
Okay, Niko, we're down to like a minute. How can people reach you? If people want to get a hold of you, what do you want to tell people?
You can go to my Facebook account. It's just Niko House. If I might be maxed out on friends by the time you get there. So in that case, you can go to my actual political account, which is just Niko, Niko, just as in dog, House. And I have a political page where I post all this stuff. I post the videos up there. I'm constantly on there. I'm always open up to ideas. I'll constantly open up to slander. There's a lot of that. But yeah, those are the two best ways. My Twitter is at Niko, Niko, CSFB, as in Cat, Stephen, Farrell, and Brandon. And you can find me there, and you can message me if you have any information, any vital information. A lot of news stories are ready to break this because we've been working together constantly, and it's been a nonpartisan issue. People are really concerned. This is a big deal, and I'm pushing Bernie to sue for a re-election at the Supreme Court level because right now we're looking at corporate espionage.
I agree with you. Okay, and this is a fluid situation, so any new information that comes up during the week, get a hold of me right away, and we'll put you right back on the air.
Absolutely.
Niko House, the president of North Carolina College Students for Bernie Sanders, exposing some shenanigans and skullduggery going on here at the campaign, where it looks like, well, we've all known the DNC has been sabotaging things for us, but now it looks like they've actually inserted people into the campaign to cause damage. Niko House, President, North Carolina College Students for Bernie Sanders, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm live right now at 6:03 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on 3/21/2016 on a Monday night. I taped this segment with Niko House, the president of the North Carolina College Students for Bernie Sanders. I taped this afternoon, around 11 a.m. this morning. And then after that interview, we had a discussion off the air for about a good 20 minutes. I really like this guy, Niko House, and I think we're going to be hearing a lot from him. Now, I shared with Niko some of my experiences here in Nevada that have also frustrated me and made me very suspicious and stuff like that. There's a lot of talk around the country that these proms are incompetence or confusion or sort of like a disorganization within the Bernie campaign. And I no longer think that after my discussions today with Niko, especially some of the stuff that I experienced here in Nevada. And I'll give you one example. Is very early on, there was a debate here in Nevada and Las Vegas between Bernie and Hillary. And prior to that debate, they were organizing a rally and a protest in front of the, I forget what hotel, it was Treasure Island it was, where the debate was held. And Hillary only had about 80 people show up. And there were these old union guys, they were all wearing the same shirts. I think they were wearing like red shirts, they were blue shirts or something like that. And they were up on the bridge. And there was about 80 of them. And they didn't march around. They weren't chanting. They weren't doing anything. They were just kind of standing around, kind of lazy, old union guys, who just kind of showed up for get paid, they had to do it for part of their responsibilities for keeping their job. But the Bernie people, it was about 250, and we marched up and down, left and right, up and down the street, up and down the strip, over the bridges, all over the place. It's an enthusiastic crowd. Now, before that event, I had contacted some organizers, and I said, hey, let me, I can promote this on the radio. And they kind of said, like, well, we don't want too many people showing up, So I've been kind of like debating back and forth, because like we had said in the show when I was talking to Niko House, that there's this theory out there that that Bernie is sheepdogging for the Clintons, and he's just kind of gathering up all the strays and building up the base, and then he's going to drop out and send all his support over to Hillary. I don't see that happening. I don't see the people. I've been out there in the street with these people, and I've been at these rallies. I've talked to these people, and these are guys. They're clued in. These are smart people. They're really tuned in. They know what we're talking about here, and they're not going to support Hillary. They know what Hillary is. A very small percentage of these Bernie supporters are going to go and support Hillary if Bernie doesn't get this. And then the other theory that Bernie is some kind of shill for Israel and he's a dual citizenship of Israel and all this kind of stuff. Well, we saw today, every other candidate went there to New York City with their hat in their hand. They disrupted their campaign. They disrupted everything just to go to visit the New York City, to AIPAC, the Israeli lobby, and humble themselves before this most powerful lobby that there is, and just say all the right words, and they had like a checklist of every word to recite for these people to make. Donald Trump actually read off a teleprompter, humbled himself, and said, "I will obey you. I will do everything, like every little, So, but Bernie did not. And I would invite people to go back to my first interview that I did with former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, where I asked her, I says, when you're a Congresswoman, how do these people approach you? How do these lobbyists come to you and offer you money? Do they take you out to dinner? Do they, do they finesse it? Is there a code word? Do they drop an envelope on the floor? I asked her, how does it work? How does the payoff work? And she told me, she says, AIPAC, what they do is they send over a fax. And, I agree to, support AIPAC and all the other things, and I check this off, check that, and you sign your name at the bottom, and then they send you money every month. And that's how it works. It is an extremely powerful lobby that has an agenda for the 1%, and for the ruling interests in this country and around the world. And you saw everyone else today bound out to them, but Bernie did not. So that's, again, one reason why I am supporting this effort. And again, too, that even if you want to go, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's say Bernie is a shill. The base that is supporting this movement, that understands about the 1%, that understands about the Walmart family, the Walton family, that understands about the tax breaks for the billionaire class, that understands that we need human rights, civil rights, economic rights, that we need economic justice in this country. This is the base that is supporting this candidate. And these are the people, guys like Niko House, young men that understand, that have been in the Army, that know what they're doing, that are clued in, see what's going on. These are the people we need to organize. This is the base we need to have at our disposal for the future to move all this stuff forward. I hope this week and in the future we'll be hearing more from Niko House and people like him to report to us other suspicious activity that we're seeing going on in this primary election. Because there's a lot more that I could be talking about on the air that I'm not talking about. And I've written it off to incompetence and confusion and disorganization, and I can no longer do that. I see sabotage. There's always been sabotage from the DNC, but I see infiltration going on as well. So that's where we are with that. I want to thank Niko for coming on here, Niko House, the president of the North Carolina College Students for Bernie Sanders, and for revealing this firsthand information. I think it's the only interview he's done. It's a kind of exclusive interview again. Of course, even when I do an exclusive interview, people will tell me, "Oh, no, wait, that's not exclusive. No one else did it before you." Okay, all right. I'm sick of that. Coming up Saturday afternoon on American Freedom Radio. Don't forget, we've switched to 5 p.m. on Saturday afternoons. American Freedom Radio, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have Tony Ortega coming on, who is exposing the Church of Scientology. He's done a lot of great work on that. The guy's a well-known figure exposing that. We just got picked up on Deprogrammed Radio, which is a station over in the UK. And they're going to be playing both the Friday night show and the Saturday show on their own schedule. I don't know if they're going to be playing it live or what. That's up to them. So I want to thank them. Good old John Chuter over there. And I guess that's just about it for updates. Working on a ton of stuff. This Friday night for the, what it used to be called the after show, but for the 7 p.m. show, the live portion of the show, will probably be a show about Trump University. And we'll see what goes on with that. I'm still working on all that. It's been an exhausting week. We're getting a lot of stuff done over here. I'm still trying to get, by the way, too, we got some time off this week. Vic's out of school. I got a film crew ready to go to Northern California to interview Hank Harrison. If we could schedule all this and get this all going together this week. And in order to do that, we would need funds. We have a new GoFundMe set up. GoFundMe/Opperman Report to pick up some film equipment, some audio recording equipment, and some digital cameras to move all this effort forward and what we're trying to do for you here, which I believe is appreciated by most people who listen to the show. And some of these items I can pay for myself, but we need traveling money too as well to get this next stage going of documentary filmmaking that we're trying to do to produce and create more content for you. So, guys, I want to thank you all for listening today to my guest, Niko House, and this information he brought us about this infiltration from the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign, sabotaging the primary process here in this 2016 election. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you Friday night.